I've been the assistant superintendent for a long time and watched a lot of superintendents before me. But when you actually sit right here in this chair, it's a whole different look. Sometimes you're going to get an assignment like I got to be the athletic director, to be the transportation director. And in the moment, felt like a slap. I struggled through that and then realized that it wasn't a bad thing. It was actually an opportunity. Because I actually say, if you can walk a mile in somebody's shoes that you're over, you know what they're going through.
Take a seat and let's dive into the education unknown. In the superintendent's chair with Dr. Anthony, where dreams unfold.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Superintendent's Chair, where we go beyond the title to hear the stories, the decisions, and the people behind public education. I'm your host, Dr. Anton Anthony, and I'm honored to have you with us. Today, we're taking a seat with Superintendent Massa of McIntosh County Schools in beautiful coastal Georgia. If you've ever traveled down towards Brunswick, if you've ever been to Buc-ee's, I have, or going to Florida, chances are you passed through McIntosh County without even realizing it. But beyond the highway, McIntosh County is a proud community of rich history, a school district serving approximately 1,400 students across 3 schools. Today, we're here directly from the leader entrusted with serving those students, supporting educators, and helping shape the future of public education in McIntosh County. Superintendent Massa recently stepped into the role after serving as assistant superintendent for 9 years and dedicated more than 2 decades to the students, families, and community of McIntosh County. Superintendent Massa, thank you for joining us and welcome to the Superintendent's Chair. First of all, let me add you on the screen. First of all, I want to congratulate you for being named the superintendent. And my first question that I have for you today is, what is the first few days of being in the superintendent's chair? What's that been like?
Well, Dr. Anthony, I really want to start with saying I appreciate this opportunity to come on your podcast and share a little bit about McIntosh. So thank you for that. And I'll say that in advance. But boy, you think you're prepared. I've been the assistant superintendent for a long time and watched a lot of superintendents before me. But when you actually sit right here in this chair, it's a whole different look. I thought that my phone rung a lot with HR and all the operational things that I did, but this is the next level. So it's been exciting. It's been so exciting. Gathering my thoughts together and putting together a systematic plan for the district has been a dream of mine. So I'll say, to wrap it up, it's been busy. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I do believe that. And I know it myself sitting in the seat. But my next question is, just tell us a little bit about yourself and where did your journey in education begin?
Well, my journey begins way back, 2002, if you can go back that far. I was graduating from college and there I was thinking, what am I going to do? And I put my application all the way up and down the coast. I'm talking all through Florida. I was graduating from Florida and all the way up. My first phone call was with Todd Grant Elementary. That's our elementary school right here in McIntosh. It was the first phone call. I went down, interviewed. And at that time, when the principal said you're hired, it was pretty much a done deal. So I said, someone's going to pay me to teach. And I snapped up the chance and moved down. So one phone call, one interview, and it landed me in what I consider my dream job. So started off 25 years ago, approximately, right here in the district now that I'm sitting in as the superintendent.
Wow.
Now, a little short story to tell you that I got into education from my father, who was a retired education. I watched him for years teaching and loving the career. And it really had an impact on me. I can remember a time, because I went to the same middle school of him having a truck pulled up with watermelon, and they split it open, counted all the seeds, and had a watermelon spitting contest, how far they could, and they measured it. And I thought that's what teaching was. But if you go back to 2002, that was the first year of No Child Left Behind.
Yeah.
the educational landscape changed drastically from what my dad was used to. My first year was deconstructing standards, state assessments, high stakes accountability. It was a whole different world than what I grew up in as a student. I can remember being a student very clearly. And now here I am saying, wait a minute, this isn't necessarily what I thought teaching was going to be. Documentation like crazy. It was a new era had started. And with the No Child Left Behind, it sounds great. Of course, we're not going to leave any child behind. But that was when a fundamental shift, in my opinion, happened in education. When my dad was in school and when I was in school and we took the standardized test, which was the ITBS in Florida, we got the scores back and teachers would give the scores and parents would receive them. And it indicated that some kids were smart and some kids weren't as smart. And that's the way they took it. There was never a thought that the school did something wrong. The kids that worked hard came in and did the work, got good grades, and they went to college, and that's how it was. But standardized testing changed the whole game. High stakes accountability, all of a sudden schools are getting graded, and some schools weren't an A, some schools weren't a B. So now we have C and D and F schools at that time, and it started a change in the way parents viewed the school system. Now it was, you didn't do something for my kid. The school somehow dropped the ball, no matter how much effort the students put in. All that being said, learned the ropes, went through the day-to-day operations of high stakes testing and accountability. My scope was narrowed down. I didn't have the freedom that my dad had to teach the lessons that I wanted because we were bound by pacing guides. And a list of standards at the time was almost unmanageable to have any depth. It was all about coverage and not about depth of learning. So we were a mile wide and an inch deep. And that started my thoughts of why I wanted to be a superintendent and how I could make an instructional program work within the framework of standardized testing and high stakes accountability.
He came
it's
in
not an easy dance to take. Really tough. Some people will say, and we have this in McIntosh and in a lot of counties, that the socioeconomic conditions or this, that, and the other are the reasons why schools aren't performing. But a simple search on schools like us or 90 school research shows that similar counties with the same demographics are performing. What are they doing that is different from us? And how can we put a system in place that meets the needs of the students right here in McIntosh County? So that's where my educational journey began, with a different expectation of what I got into, but then turned into how can we make it work? And what would I do when I finally got to this chair to support our teachers and put us in a place to be successful?
You said something earlier. When you came in, they had no Child Left Behind, and that was a part of, and that is part of the reason why some teachers leave the profession. They became bombarded and overwhelmed, because it's no more watermelon spitting contest. Now we really have pacing guides, and we don't have time. So that is some of the reason why. You said something, and I'm going to move to the next question, is that looking beyond your district, what do you believe are the biggest challenges facing public education in Georgia?
Well, in education, as we all know, being educators, the pendulum swings so many ways. How to teach reading has changed 5 different times and swung whole language to phonics, back and forth. So I'm seeing that the biggest challenge is a return to the basics. I really believe that we've gotten so much of conceptualizing learning, of representations of this problem or how it works, which I think is great. And I want to make sure that I'm not discounting the fact that those critical thinking skills are important and they have to be mastered. But at the expense of getting back to the basic core foundational skills that students have. I think that that's something that we plan on doing. And I think we'll talk a little bit more in McIntosh is getting back to the basics, reading, arithmetic, writing, and doing the core skills that allow a student go from learning to read to reading to learn, learning to learn to actually learning on their own. It goes back to having the core basics and the foundational skills, the prerequisite skills for each grade level. So I think one of the biggest challenges is going to be, how do we ensure that we are preparing kids for a test that is based on, I think, a lot of visual representations or abstract concepts, applying knowledge to ensuring that they have the base knowledge to do that. That balance is going to be tough, and especially with artificial intelligence right on our heels. That's a huge challenge, and it leads us to returning back to some pencil and paper and a lot of writing, so that kids are using their minds and authentically putting down what they've come up with, bad or good.
Absolutely.
Artificial intelligence is great. And I think there's a lot of concentration on teaching kids to use it. And I think the focus doesn't need to be that way as much. The kids know how to use it. They're using it well before us.
Absolutely.
Empowering our teachers, our district staff, how to use this technology to have a better academic plan, how to better monitor the instruction, how to organize things, and really using AI at a district level goes beyond the requirements just to teach the kids. There has got to be some of that, but the real challenge is having our teachers buy into the possibilities and then teach them how to deal with students that are also using it.
Absolutely. Good answer. I like that. For leading right from the students now to preparing you to be the superintendent. You spent 9 years as assistant superintendent before becoming superintendent. What did those years teach you that prepared you for your role today in the superintendent's chair?
Well, I've had a rocket rise and been so blessed in my career. I spent 3 years in the classroom as a elementary school third grade teacher, went 1 year as a sixth grade math teacher at the middle school, and then immediately went to an assistant principal. So after 4 years in the classroom, found myself in leadership. Just so happened the very next year, I became the principal of that middle school. So now I'm 5 years as the principal of a middle school with teachers that were retiring. So that was a little bit of a transition.
Absolutely.
But it did prepare me for being in the school, being a principal. There's nothing like that. Even the superintendent's job is totally different. You run that school if allowed. And there's a lot of day-to-day organizational operations that go with that I became strong at.
Absolutely.
3 years as the principal of the middle school, I found myself with the opportunity to become the curriculum director. So I moved up to the board office as the curriculum director and federal programs. So gave me a great time to start with budgeting. You know, federal programs is very detail oriented, and they got it budget down to the penny, literally.
Absolutely.
And so I had a pretty good budget. And at that time, they weren't consolidated. So we had Title I, Title II, Title III. We had all those budgets, which really helped me in the long run, as well as curriculum director. That's where I got my first taste of what my true passion is with the academic program. And through that, we were doing, at that time, the testing had changed again to the new Georgia milestones. And if you remember there, all subjects were tested. They made you make district level, what they called SLOs, I believe at the time. And every subject had to have a end of the grade test or end of the course test, no matter what. And that gave me a real insight into how district-wide assessments work and using that data to really drive instruction. And at that time, I was really into ensuring that high-quality units were built. I think that in education, we have teachers that are doing such hard work, and every year they're starting over with lesson plans. And if we can build out high quality units that are fleshed out each year and made stronger based on data, we're in the right direction.
Absolutely.
So happens that at that time, a new superintendent came in, and I found myself moving to another district, Wayne County, which is right next door. Yeah. So blessed to go to Wayne County, which at the time I thought was the kick in the stomach of all kicks. This is my hometown. Here I am, the curriculum director, but superintendents have a hard choice. And he made that choice. And I was totally okay with that because the experience I got in Wayne County was such a blessing. In Wayne County, I was director of human resources and federal programs. So now we went through a school system with 100 and change employees, 100, and to a school system with 700 or 809. It was a lot. So being over HR then prepared me for a lot. There was a lot of hard conversations that I had to have, letting people or guiding them to the decision that maybe that was the time for them to seek another employment opportunity. Took care of a lot of that. And then just the documentation of HR is so critical, and knowing how to work through an investigation the right way, really knowing how to collect evidence and figuring out that you can never make a conclusion before all the facts are in. Because so many times I thought, well, this is how it is. A few phone calls later, find out, no, it really didn't happen that way. So that was a real critical lesson in a high stakes category of a big county. Was so blessed to come back to McIntosh. Blessed, that's all I'll say. And found myself back as the assistant superintendent, and that was over operations. And during that time, I did some things that weren't typical for a assistant superintendent. I was the athletic director for a year. Which was a great experience. Not something that is easily done without knowing anything. I've coached a little, but the athletic director was a great experience. Now I feel real confident knowing what their job description is. I was the transportation director. Now, not over transportation, but the actual day-to-day director, assistant superintendent transportation, I guess. But, boy, if you were to really walk a mile in a transportation director's shoes, it would open your eyes in a big way. What a critical part of the academic program of the school system. The first person kids see in the morning, the last person they see from the school system when they leave. There's opportunities there, 100%. What a great opportunity. And then, of course, all the operationals experiences, tearing down buildings, building new construction, all the things that go with operations became my day-to-day schedule. So I think that I've been every single role in the district except for CFO. I haven't been the CFO. If I haven't been the role, I was over the role. Even a little short time as the technology director and the special ed director.
Listen,
so with small counties come the opportunity to get a lot of experience.
I have interviewed some folks, some people, some superintendents, but I've never interviewed anyone with your experience from curriculum, HR, from operation director, transportation. You have done it all. This is amazing.
I will say one little point is that I've been praying about being the superintendent for a long time and been passed up a few times. But what I will say is this, is that God's timing is always the right timing. I wasn't ready. And now he's put me in a place where he thinks I'm ready. And that gives me the confidence of.
Amen. I love that. I love that. I love that. So for people that across Georgia who may not know McIntosh County, tell us about your district and what makes it special.
Man, I tell you what, first of all, coastal Georgia. We're right here nestled right above St. Simon's Island, right below Savannah. Just a great place to be. I love the small town life. I grew up in a town with exactly the same, one elementary school, one middle school, and a high school. And so that small town feeling is here where we know each other. I've made not only acquaintances and met people, I've met so many people that I consider my friends now.
Mhm.
We're a small town, population about 15,000 people, not very much. Like you said, our school system is 1,400, so we don't have a huge school system. But what we have is the atmosphere and the potential
Mhm.
to do something great. McIntosh now is a system on the move, prepared to meet the challenges of this next few years. I'm really excited about where we are. There's nothing special except for the people. The people make it special. It could be like any other town. They always talk about demographics and what your school makeup is, how many kids are on free and reduced, what is
Mhm.
the um, ethnic background of everybody. And a lot of times people make excuses for that and say, well, this is the reason. And what I say to them is very clearly that 90 school research doesn't support that. If you
Yeah.
go right to schools like me, right online, there's plenty of schools in our same socioeconomic status, same makeup of ethnicities that are performing. So what we are is just a great coastal community ready to make some fundamental changes that will allow us to meet our true potential. And that's the key. We haven't met our true potential yet, but we're about to.
Awesome. That leads us to this question now is looking ahead. What excites you most about the future of McIntosh County Schools?
Oh man, like I said, the second they announced me as a sole finalist, my feet barely have touched the ground. And so I'm finally starting to settle down. And what I'm most excited about is that potential, because we
Absolutely.
have a great staff of really good, dedicated teachers that are making it happen in different ways. And we have such an opportunity before us to move up. The hard facts are, and not something that I even really want to say, but out of pure transparency, right now, McIntosh is down academically.
Yeah.
And not because of the hard work or the effort put in. It's about some fundamental processes and procedures that will align us to do things and row in the same direction. We have pockets of greatness, but in a small county, one teacher, one grade level
Oh man.
can really swamp you, and
Yeah.
it doesn't show the true what's going on, because the scores are just one indicator, but that's what people are looking at. I wrote an article for the paper and I said, when you go to Zillow and you're looking for a house, you scroll down, there's the school system's report on every one of the houses underneath it. And
Right.
that's the first impression they get of McIntosh. However, that's not the true picture of McIntosh. It doesn't show the teachers that are staying after school to work with kids on their own dime. It doesn't show the beautiful academic facilities that we have. It doesn't show all the hard work that makes a complete school system, but it does show us something, that we have some issues that we need to address. And I'm excited about knowing that the bridge between where we are and where we need to go is easily built
Absolutely.
with systematic routines, rituals, and processes that everybody's rowing in the same direction. That just got me jacked up. We only have up to go.
Right. Absolutely. But the thing about it is every school district, every person, we have work to do. So
That's
finding
right.
out the work that you have to do is the key. All right. So with one of my favorite things that I like to do, next section. Now, Superintendent, this is a part of the show where we ask 5 questions and 5 quick answers. You are now in the chair. 5 quick rapid fire questions. One answer. Here we go. Pick one. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach. I thought you'd be tired of the beach being on the coast.
No.
Morning or night?
Mornings.
Mornings. Okay. Next one. Paper planner or digital?
It's a hard one because I write it on paper and then I take a picture of it and digitize it through a local
Okay.
AI.
Both.
Both.
All right. One word to describe your district.
Potential.
Potential. And then last one, favorite vacation.
Mountains.
Please tell me you go on vacation.
I do. I like to go to the mountains.
Okay, because I was about to say, if you sitting in the superintendent seat, if you haven't been on vacation, you probably won't go now.
I like to vacation, and if I'm going to go, I'll go somewhere to go hunting is actually the real reason.
Awesome. All right. So next to the last question, if a young teacher told you one day I like to become a superintendent, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think the first thing I would say is start with education and pre-planning. I think that that's super important because there's so many options out there when you get your degree. If you have any inkling of being in leadership, then I always guide them to starting off with a master's in educational leadership. And they're changing all the certification rules, and whether you're tier 1 and tier 2, still up there for debate what actually happens with that. So I say I wouldn't worry about that, but get that on your transcripts that you have that. And then, like me, be a student of the game. I was constantly watching what all my administrators did and taking notes, mental notes, saying, these are the things that I love and that I'll take with me as positive things to do. And here's the things that I would change. And it's always a learning process and a watching. You are a student of the game is what I say. And you keep that and develop your own plan. I'm sitting in this chair, not with a fresh idea of saying, oh, now what do I do? I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I've been working through documenting what my plan would be so that when I did get the opportunity to sit here, I could sit down and just flesh it out, get buy-in, talk with people, and not be stressed about what are we going to change. Be a student of the game and have your degree and everything ready would be my recommendation.
Absolutely. Same here. I would do the same thing. All right. For our final question, but I will close almost with this. The superintendent's chair, it represents far more than a position. It represents responsibility, service, leadership, and the trust that communities placed in those who lead our schools or their schools. Looking back on your career, what is one decision that truly tested you as a leader, and what did that experience teach you?
Well, sometimes you're going to get an assignment like I got to be the athletic director, to be the
right.
transportation director.
Right.
And in the moment, it felt like a slap. It felt like, how could they do that? That's not my job. You know, I'm the assistant superintendent, but I struggled through that and then realized that it wasn't a bad thing. It was actually an opportunity, because I actually say, if you can walk a mile in somebody's shoes that you're over, you know what they're going through. You could support them in such a much better way than just seeing it from the outside. And so it truly tested my resolve of being a continual learner and saying that this is not something bad. It's an opportunity for me to get stronger as a leader and understand the complete role of everything in the system, not just be one-dimensional and say, I know curriculum, but I don't know operations. I know athletics, but I don't know something else. And so it was challenging at the time, but as a leader, the more opportunities you have to walk a mile in somebody's shoes, the stronger you'll be when you finally get that shake. I feel confident that I can talk with any one of my directors, associate directors, whatever it is, and say, I've been there and here's what we need to do, or here's what I suggest to you, and give good guidance based on actual knowledge of the job.
Awesome. Do you have any closing remarks for the people of Georgia as well as people of McIntosh County that you would like to share with us?
I would. We would be remiss to not mention our Board of Education and how great they've been. I tell you what, to give me an opportunity is something that I'll always carry in my heart with a thank you, and for their support of the whole program in McIntosh. Every time we've ever been to them and asked them for something that was academic, I can't believe one time we've ever gotten a no. They've been so supportive of the academic program, and they've given me very specific charge to make some changes, do some things, and bring our schools to where we've met our potential. And their leadership and the decisions they make are always in the best interest of McIntosh, and I appreciate that and was excited about joining their team in that way. And then last but not least, just thanking everybody in McIntosh for all the support that they've shown me. My phone has been ringing off the hook, and the support was overwhelming, not from just former students, former employees, but from everybody from across the board, just saying, we're waiting for you, Mr. Massa. Now you're here. Now let's see what you can do. And that's what another thing that makes McIntosh special is that we are a family and a community of family members is what I'd like to say.
I love it.
And for you, I want to say thank you again for giving me this opportunity. I think that it takes a lot of courage to run a race and do things and stand up for education. And we have to have people that are going to stand up and say, no, this isn't right, and not just fall into the continual cog of this is just the way we've been told to do it. That's real leadership there, is being brave and standing up and taking that on. And I appreciate that in you, and appreciate you again inviting me.
What I've learned and gleaned from you and all the roles that you've done. One thing that you said when you applied for other positions, and God was like, that was not your time. God had his perfect time. Even though I didn't win state superintendent, he has his perfect time for all of us. So right. Superintendent Massa, thank you so much for taking a seat in the superintendent's chair. Thank you for your leadership, your service to the students, families, educators, and community of McIntosh County. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And to everyone watching, thank you for joining for another episode of the Superintendent's Chair. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, share this episode with another educator or a leader, and join us next time as we continue preserving the voices of educational leadership across Georgia. I'm Dr. Anton Anthony. We'll see you next time.
Take a seat and let's dive into the education